And then of course we do need to shade this one, so I would shade again less than. If you get stuck with the less than, remember you can draw a little stick person walking up the line. That's always the above side, so the less than side would be underneath it, which would be down here. This is one of those ones that some students have trouble figuring out above and below because it's kind of slanted at a steep angle. So again, if you aren't sure, if you were to draw someone walking up the line, he would be on that side. That means that's above. If you're on the other side, he'd be falling on his head at some point. Then we're going to graph the second inequality. This one starts at a -1 y-intercept. And our slope is -2, so I'm going to count down 2 and to the right 1. Down 2 and to the right 1. This one is going to get a dashed line. And we're going to shade above. Yes. And then for this one, I'm shading above the line, so here's my red line. The above part would be up here. And then the final solution is where they both overlap, which would happen here, here. You want to darken that region so that if I were looking, I can definitely tell that that's the answer. If you want to use different colors, you're more than welcome to. If you want to use color pencils or highlighters. Okay, the second example, we're going to do the same thing. However, the second one, we're going to have to solve for y to graph it. How do you think I would solve this for y? There's two ways you can do it. Jade? Add 2x. You also could add y if you wanted to, and then you would have to flip it around at the end, but some students like to do that. So we'll get -y is less than or equal to 2x plus 4. And then Jade will have to divide by -1, right? And when I divide by that -1, remember to do it everywhere. Some of you are forgetting that third piece. We do have to flip our inequality because we divided by a negative. So this would become y is greater than or equal to -2x minus 4. So now these are the two inequalities we're going to graph, if you haven't already. So for the first one, start at 2. Up 3/1. This one will be dashed. And we are shading that one above. The next one, make sure you follow the new one we wrote. We'll start at -4 on the y-axis. And we'll count down 2 and to the right 1. This one's going to get a solid line. And again, since we flipped the inequality, it is going to get shaded above. So again, the overlapping region is this little V in the middle. And I didn't do it in the last one, but if you wanted to, you can pick a test point like we did before and plug it into both inequalities. And if we were to pick a test point, let's say maybe 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 4. I would plug it into the originals. So we would have 4 is greater than, 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2, so 4 is greater than 2, that works. The other one would be negative 2 times 0, which is 0, minus 4 is less than or equal to 4, and negative 4 is less than or equal to 4, so that works. So if you have a time on your quiz or a test, I'd check it. I'm not going to make you check all your homework questions, but if you have time on an assessment, I would. All right, now we also have some absolute values, so we have to remember how to graph those. We also have some that are vertical or horizontal. How do I graph the y is greater than or equal to 3? What type of line would I draw and where? Garrett?
Wouldn't be on the y-axis or 3, then 0, 3. Slope is 0.
Good. So the slope of this one is technically 0. This is really 0x plus 3. So he's correct. We're going to start at 3 on the y-axis. A slope of 0 means it's a flat line. So this is a horizontal line. And it is going to be solid because we see the equal bar. And we're going to shade greater than, so we're going to shade above this line. Now for the absolute value, you can use your translations for this one because there's not an A or an M value that's affecting our slope of the line. So if we look at, we can always find the vertex. Who remembers the vertex formula in case you want to use it? Garrett?
Negative b over m, comma c.
Good. Negative b divided by m, comma c. So if you want to do that, you can. Remember, this is your A, this is your m, this is your b, and this is your c. So if you wanted to, it would be negative 2 divided by m is technically 1, comma c, which is 5. So the vertex should be negative 2, 5. But you also could use your translations. Remember, adding 2 means to the left 2, and plus 5 means up 5. So we could also use the rules for translations just to shift our vertex. Now don't forget there is a negative out front, and that is going to tell me that this is a reflection. So the V is going to be going downward. All right, so make sure you look at all of those elements. So the vertex was at negative 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, the vertical stretch or shrink is just 1, so the slope is 1. The m value is also 1. And since it's a negative, we're going to go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, and also down 1 and backwards 1, down 1 and backwards 1, form that V. And this is going to be a dashed line. And we are shading above for this one, so you're shading on top of the V. So that would be up here. So the bold part I'm going to darken in would be where my pink and blue overlap on the board, which is this top region. And you could pick a test point if you wanted to check that. See if you guys can try the next one on your own. Alright, we should get something that's looking like kind of a big check mark shaded in the middle. So if done correctly, we had our y-intercept we might have wanted to add in was 0, slope was 1, so starting at 0 up 1 over 1, solid shade above. Then I used my translations. You also could have done the vertex, but I just said this is shifted left 5, and this is going to be shifted down 2. And I noticed that my A and my M values are both 1, so up 1 over 1 just as usual, and we're solid shading below. And so the shaded region was in between those two graphs. Okay, there is a chance that on the homework, and I can't remember if it's the homework tonight or the study guide, you can get a no solution, just so you realize. So if you were to graph a line, let's say it looked like this, and I was supposed to shade above it, and then the other line was like this, and I'm shading below it. If the two shaded regions never overlap, that is a no solution. If you were to get shaded regions that overlapped exactly, you could have one that is infinitely many solutions as well, if they both ended up being the same line and shaded in the same direction. On the back, they're going to ask us to write systems of inequalities to match the graphs that they've given us. And whenever I give these questions on the test, I usually put the colored example on the board just so sometimes it's easier for you guys to see. But I've labeled these. I don't know if they're labeled on your paper. Are they? L1 and L2? Yeah. Okay. That way, just when I'm checking your paper, I know which one's which, and we don't mix them up. So for L1, I would start out by looking, first of all, it's a horizontal line, which we know is usually y equals something. But it has a dashed line, and the blue is being shaded underneath, so that would be what symbol? Here, a less than. So this should be just y is less than 2. Okay, the slope is 0 technically, so 0x plus 2. L2 is our red one, our pink one, and we can see that it's a solid line, and it's shaded above. So what symbol would I have for that? Someone I haven't heard from today. Caleb? Greater than or equal to. Perfect. And our slope is up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, so that would be 1/2 x. The y-intercept is at a -1, so that would be -1. So this is the system of inequalities. Bless you. All right, the next one. L1 is the slanted one. Who thinks they could write an inequality to represent that? Give you guys a second to think about it. About your symbol. Think about your slope and your y-intercept. What do you think? Garrett?
Y plus or equal to -2 and 3 x.
Equal to -2 over 3x. So let's see. The y-intercept looks like it's going through at 0, and we're going down 2 and over 3, down 2 and over 3. Looks good. Again, when you're identifying the slope, you want to make sure it's actually going through the corner of the box. Some people will say it's -1/2, but at this point, it's not actually going through at 2. So just be careful. That is correct. Technically +0, but you don't need the +0. It's assumed with the y-intercept. But if you want to put it, I won't take off. And then L2 is a vertical line. So a vertical line. Who remembers how we write the equation, Ashley? Good. Vertical lines are always x equals whatever number it's falling on. Since it's an inequality, though, we do have a dash, and it is shaded. Now, some students get confused because it's not really above or below. But when you're looking at the x-axis, these would be the numbers that are bigger. Okay, so it should be x is greater than -3. Perfect. All right, why don't you guys go ahead and complete the closure. If you want to go ahead and make it into a partner challenge and work with a friend, you can. And then whenever you're done with those two, bring them up and show them to me, and I'll give you your homework. You guys can work on that for the rest of class.